times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Riche. Monsieur de Riche, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Is there nothing you want to say, Louis?
It wasn't me. I didn't kill her.
I'd much rather have met you under different circumstances.
Lord Mortimer, believe me, I'm very conscious of the gravity of the situation. Everything seems to point to me as the one who killed Elizabeth, but I swear I am innocent.
Out of respect for your mother, rest assured that I do want to believe you.
And all I want is to be able to prove it to you. When do we start?
We already have. Tell me, Louis, how do you feel?
I feel like a rat trapped in a maze.
Interesting.
I beg your pardon?
Sarah also felt like she was trapped like an animal.
Where are you going with this, my lord?
Sarah's behavior grew odd before her disappearance. Her attitude changed. She became prey to outbursts of violence and a number of temporary absences. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't go getting lost like your mother did.
You're not suggesting that I might have killed Elizabeth and that I don't remember, are you?
I don't know, Louis. It's just that what with your mother and now you, it's rather a lot. The more I take stock of the situation, the more I'm under the impression that you've been set up. But before going any further, I must inform you that Sir Gregory is about to arrive. He is coming to question you about the murder of poor Elizabeth, whom he was very fond of. He is quite determined to find the culprit, whomever they may be. So, convince him of your innocence. Then we can continue this conversation.
William, I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
Let's take this chance to look around.
Please, sit back down, Louis.
This sort of behavior is not working in your favor, young man. Monsieur de Riche, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy. We shall then decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly. Now you are going to tell us everything that happened last night, without leaving any detail out. First things first, how did your evening begin?
I was in the corridor and I was going to bed. Elizabeth wanted to speak to me because she feared for her life.
Very well. Continue.
Were you alone?
Indeed, it was late. I was tired and I was going up to bed.
That's not what Duchess Hillsborough told us. You were apparently both going upstairs, and Miss Adams accosted you.
What do you think will happen if we find you guilty?
Come, gentlemen. Please, continue your account, Louis.
We were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed. She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink, or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
She was distressed. She just found out that I was Sarah de Riche's son and sort of insisted on telling me about the horrors my mother made her suffer. She was convinced she was going to die.
It turns out she wasn't wrong. And what happened next?
Then she told me she had poured laudanum in my glass. The next minute I was on the floor. When I woke up, she was lying in a pool of blood.
That is all you had to say? You expect us to believe that you have no idea what happened to her?
Yes, because I'm telling you the truth.
How can you possibly expect us to believe you?
Gregory, we must consider every possibility. Louis, do you have any idea who could have done it?
Judging by the situation, I'm at the top of your list of suspects.
William gave you every opportunity to shift suspicion onto someone else. You have a very strange method of defending yourself, young man.
So, Louis, what would your motive be?
Well,
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Riche. Monsieur de Riche, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Is there nothing you want to say, Louis?
It wasn't me. I didn't kill her.
I'd much rather have met you under different circumstances.
Lord Mortimer, believe me, I'm very conscious of the gravity of the situation. Everything seems to point to me as the one who killed Elizabeth, but I swear I am innocent.
Out of respect for your mother, rest assured that I do want to believe you.
And all I want is to be able to prove it to you. When do we start?
We already have. Tell me, Louis, how do you feel?
I feel a bit disoriented.
That's only normal in your situation. You can hardly say you've been left unscathed lately. First, the disappearance of your mother, and now this murder.
Where are you going with this, my lord?
Sarah's behavior grew odd before her disappearance. Her attitude changed. She became prey to outbursts of violence and a number of temporary absences. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't go getting lost like your mother did.
You're not suggesting that I might have killed Elizabeth and that I don't remember, are you?
I don't know, Louis. It's just that what with your mother and now you, it's rather a lot. The more I take stock of the situation, the more I'm under the impression that you've been set up. But before going any further, I must inform you that Sir Gregory is about to arrive. He is coming to question you about the murder of poor Elizabeth, whom he was very fond of. He is quite determined to find the culprit, whomever they may be. So, convince him of your innocence. Then we can continue this conversation.
William, I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
All right, let's take this chance to look around.
Please, sit back down, Louis.
This sort of behavior is not working in your favor, young man. Monsieur de Riche, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy. We shall then decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly. Now you are going to tell us everything that happened last night, without leaving any detail out. First things first, how did your evening begin?
Duchess Hillsborough and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came upon us.
Oh, so you were with the Duchess?
Yes, we were talking. We were walking up the stairs, and it was late.
Where did you come from?
I don't remember. We came from the portrait gallery, if I remember rightly.
That is what the Duchess said. Continue.
We were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed. She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink, or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
She was distressed. She just found out that I was Sarah de Riche's son and sort of insisted on telling me about the horrors my mother made her suffer. She was convinced she was going to die.
It turns out she wasn't wrong. And what happened next?
Then she told me she had poured laudanum in my glass. The next minute I was on the floor. When I woke up, she was lying in a pool of blood.
That is all you have to say? You expect us to believe that you have no idea what happened to her?
Yes, because I'm telling you the truth.
How can you possibly expect us to believe you?
Gregory, we must consider every possibility. Louis, do you have any idea who could have done it?
Well, even if I can't believe for a single instant that my mother could have murdered someone in that manner, she might have wanted to stop Elizabeth from speaking about their mutual past. And things might have turned nasty.
It is indeed a possibility.
I would like to thank you for helping us shed light on what happened last night. To be honest, you are not the only suspect. I'm prepared to believe you were drugged. Our poor Elizabeth hid the stuff everywhere, and I could smell laudanum on you 3 yards away.
So you knew it wasn't me from the start?
We weren't sure. Louis, I am sorry, but everything points in the same direction. I only know one person on this island who might have had a big enough grudge against Elizabeth, who has no alibi, and whose behavior is, well, suspect. Not to mention dangerous.
Tell me what happened before my arrival. I think I've been patient enough.
You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She isn't missing, you know.
What? What do you mean?
My mother has left traces in every nook and cranny of your island, my lord. She's definitely here. Now, what worries me most is why she doesn't show herself.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Isn't Bonaparte a bit young to deserve so much attention?
Well, you come straight to the point. I like that. Indeed, if you knew just how much you remind me of him. Trust me, I'll wager that Monsieur Napoleon will soon prove himself. I'm working on it, at least. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play. And I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
How did my mother and Duchess Hillsborough get on?
Oh, very well, I believe. They spent a lot of time together. Without wanting to exaggerate, I rather got the impression that Emily reminded your mother of herself when she was young. The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jersey, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
My mother must have undoubtedly taken great pleasure in these exchanges. She always was one to appreciate broadening her knowledge. I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on. Emily has a twin sister who knew my mother? What's she playing at, goddammit? That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that? Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you. The room is just opposite Mortimer's study. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured. For what comes up here from the mortal world must... What is this disc? St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. We'll see if it works. It's open. A fragment of amber. Of St. Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. St. John, painted by Guido Reni. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. The New Testament. For I through the law am dead to the law, that I might live unto God. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in Jordan. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. St. Paul, painted by Guido Reni. Of the four apostles shown in this piece, Paul is only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe? So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe? The chest with the occult symbol representing air. Paul and Silvanus and Timotheus unto the church of the Thessalonians, which is in God the Father and in the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace be unto you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? Too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. No, nothing of value here. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. They should add a companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their ranks. I imagine it applies to their code, the one Mother set up with the pilgrims. What's this? A group of pilgrims who Paul was talking to, and now John is telling them prophecies? A chest with the occult symbol representing air. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured. For what comes up here from the mortal world, St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord. St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. They should add a companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their ranks. I imagine it applies to their code, the one Mother set up with the pilgrims. What's this? A group of pilgrims who Paul was talking to, and now John is telling them prophecies? I guess I'll just come back later. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. St. Paul on the road to Damascus by Caravaggio. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? Clearly, she must be trying to do something useful, but what? The nightmare. Does that remind me of anything? It probably has to do with an object or something. Granting that this is the case, where am I to be found? Yes, it's the painting that was behind Mortimer's study. Well, let's see if Mortimer has anything to hide behind his painting. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious. It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.
You are expected in the small salon, sir.
Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. They kept up a secret correspondence, which makes me think they were suspicious of someone.
And did you find out who it was?
No, but von Wollner is mentioned. They were planning to make a quick getaway and were looking to hide something beforehand.
Have you got these messages?
Yes. Go ahead, take a look.
I see. I must say, thanks for your honesty, Louis.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge. I better keep that to myself for the time being.
Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And who is this charming character?
Manuel Godoy, the Duke of La Alcudia.
He's the head of the Spanish government, Monsieur de Riche. He's the one who, in practice, controls Spain.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined.
What? Oh, no.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before.
How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if...
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous! Bastard! He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for 1 vote! Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But
That's enough, sir.
with whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Riche.
Are you related to Sarah de Рише?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you... Spare a moment, please, sir.
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you too. Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
Hear you speak, it sounds like you and my mother were close.
Let's say I hold your mother in high esteem, yes. We were even planning to work together.
That's what he was getting at.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
Of course she did.
Perfect. I'm glad to know it. So, how should we proceed then?
What do you mean?
Oh, come, sir. No point pretending. You know, you obviously have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
The least one can say is that he doesn't beat around the bush. Sarah never travels without a few books. What does the one you're looking for look like exactly?
It resembles a grimoire. It's divided into 7 parts, each one individually locked. It was made in such a way that if someone tried to tamper with it, the sheets would be permanently tarnished. It's a unique copy. There's only one.
The mere mention of it makes his face light up. Well, I'll take a closer look, but I can't promise you anything. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know him?
I've never heard of him. I'm sorry, I haven't been much help to you.
Well, too bad.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Borchardt was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Riche. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. It's Sir Gregory.
Correct. You ought to know then, he is not a man who likes to be duped. You are walking on thin ice, sir.
You better go and check out the painting in Lord Mortimer's study.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
I'm sure that a soldier such as yourself is not interested in vulgar rumors.
Quite right. If only this cursed gossip didn't come to stain the uniform he has the audacity to wear.
Don't you find him worthy?
But how could he be, monsieur? He never sets foot on the battlefield, too occupied with charming the queen. Have you any idea of the number of titles that coward has won in just a few years?
No, not really.
10! And that Don Juan spends the best part of his time under the queen's skirts. The bugger must have some hidden talent, given all of the gifts she gives him.
I understand your point of view. Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
There's a pattern with 5 circles on this chest. All right, I've retrieved everything. Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see, everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
What do you mean?
The situation is ready to explode with France over Catalonia.
Well, the Duke must have a darn good reason to be absent and come here, mustn't he?
When Lord Mortimer invites you, Louis, you come. It's always in your best interest.
I wouldn't say that personally, but... Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend.
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I haven't been following the case. I'm sure that the order did everything in its power. Unfortunately, you know the situation in Paris, and, well, it's chaotic at best. Anything can happen in those revolutionary tribunals.
The king is the official representative of God on earth, my son.
Your Eminence, France has become a secular state. The king was just another citizen to them. He refused to admit his errors, looked down upon them, and attempted to escape. What did he expect?
France has lost all reason, Louis.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
Well, I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I'm sure a man like you is in the circle of trust. Would you know what the conference that Lord Mortimer mentioned is going to be about?
Not really, my son. Well, be it Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory, we are never informed about the theme of the conference before it begins.
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the church. You can believe me.
As to his faith, I have no doubt. However, his ambition seems to surpass his morality, and I hope that it will not sully the crown.
You can say that again. The blue eyes of the latest Infanta, Maria Isabel, have left everyone wondering.
Rumors always accompany men of power, Your Eminence.
Naturally. But the number of awards and titles granted by the Queen during these past 4 years leaves little doubt.
So, Godoy really is this out-and-out rascal who uses his charm on the Queen. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later. I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later. Christ Crucified by Velázquez. Look, someone's left a note there. Reserved for the Duke of Alcudia. There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. A drachma.
What do you want, Louis?
What do you think of our last guest?
Well, I never thought I would get the chance to meet that Hispanic Casanova in the flesh. His reputation is well known. The gentleman collects lovers, including, would you believe it, the Queen of Spain.
The Queen of Spain likes to indiscreetly say, the King, Godoy, and myself make up the Holy Trinity. The people have appropriately renamed them the Goat, the Ruffian, and the Whore.
I didn't see you being a mudslinger in your idle hours, I must say.
Emily, what can you tell me about the coming conference?
Sir Gregory and Lord Mortimer organize this kind of high society meeting every so often in order to consider the world situation.
But to what purpose?
Well, by bringing together the most influential people from the dominant nations of the modern world, they allow the mighty to discuss matters with calm clarity. There are precedents of armistices being signed at the end of these talks, you know. Talking while holding a glass of brandy makes things easier. You'll see. You're leaving me?
Unfortunately, I have things to do. Thank you again, madam. So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare? Hey, a Russian ruble. I wonder what it'd be worth today. Which four-letter word could open this chest? Book of the Mortimer family. Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming. Which four-letter word could open this chest?
Let's take a closer look. These chocolates are probably a protocol gift. Everybody in Europe loves them nowadays. Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, has her own personal chocolate maker at Versailles. They say it's her guilty little morning ritual before getting dressed. A cup with 1 sugar and some vanilla, if I remember rightly. I would be surprised if Mortimer has them delivered straight from South America. No, what have we got here? Oh, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. It's a book on the history of the Crusades. I don't think it has any connection with my research. It's a book on the history of the Crusades. I don't think it has any connection with my research. It looks like a war painting. Oh, it's dated. A myna bird. Well, Waldo, is your master good? Sarah de Riche? Waldo, you know Sarah? Which 4-letter word could open this chest? The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. Aha, I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed. Looks like there's a marker on number 1 on the second roller. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Looks like there's a marker on number 1 on the second roller. This painting isn't finished, and it looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. Hey, there are 2 dates on this painting. 1154 AD and 5154 AL. History of the First Crusades by Pierre Amédée de la Sarde. Hey, the dates indicate AL, and it looks like 4,000 years have been added to our calendar. Oh, that counting system again. The Crusades took place not long after the year 1000. Here all the dates say 5,000 and something. I'm guessing this dating system begins 4,000 years before the calendar that we use. Yet, I'm getting the feeling that there's something else, another small detail, but what is it? The famous call from Pope Gregory VIII in his Audita Tremendi Bull of 5,187. Oh, the crusade where Richard the Lionhearted distinguished himself. It states the first sea blockade of Saint-Jean d'Acre was broken in the 12th month of 5190 AL, whereas the siege had been going on for 2 years. Might come in handy. A myna bird.
Waldo, what you boy, Waldo? What you boy? Waldo, what you boy?
Open sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Mortimer. Fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. Locked. Golden elixir. Looks like a campaign is being prepared in France in favor of Italy. Could Mortimer have decided to finance a war? It shows the forces present in Europe. It's clear that France is surrounded by her enemies. However, a large number has been underlined in bold. 26 million. I know what it is. It's an estimation of my country's population. All our neighbors have far fewer inhabitants. This shows the forces present in America. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Tremor. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is his stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. something strange about this table. The little surgeon's perfect collection. Looks like obsidian or onyx. Must weigh a ton. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton by the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. Mortimer's given a name to his anatomy skeleton. That's morbid. That must be for writing the homing pigeon messages. An iron mask. I wonder who it's for. Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for. I'm a little surprised at Mortimer. I didn't seem as the type to be organizing little pagan parties, invoking occult powers, and dancing naked under the full moon. I'm more used to seeing cheap charms like this sold by charlatans in Pré Saint-Gervais. 3 rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. Am I seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those. A chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire. Look, a pack of tarot cards. Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. Oh, shit. How am I gonna get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. It looks too easy. It could be a trap. Well, better not dwell on it then. This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. We must absolutely inform Sir Gregory. How long has he been trying to collect all the spears?
I must have brought him the first one 20-odd years ago.
Do you know if he has managed to get the original?
Well, in any case, he's got all the ones we had at the Vatican. He made me replace them with copies. But I don't understand your reaction. I'm sure it is nothing serious.
Aha. I can see very well you do not understand. You have done nothing less than sign our death warrants, and still you don't understand.
Someone is listening.
What? Monsieur de Riche, why not join us rather than find yourself eavesdropping?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Of course you didn't. So, my son, what can we do for you?
I didn't mean to spy on you, but you caught my attention. Please excuse me if I interrupt, gentlemen. I didn't want to disturb you. Please, carry on. Your Eminence, you were talking about the Holy Spear, if I remember correctly. The one that killed Christ on the cross. Is that right?
Indeed, Louis. I was just telling Mr. von Wallner about Lord Mortimer's keen interest in the relic. He's been collecting them for years in the hope that he'll find the real one.
Enough! Please leave us, monsieur. His Eminence and I wish to finish our discussion alone.
Fragment of amber.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
Could you perhaps help me?
What can I do for you, sir?
Where did this sword come from?
From the garden, sir. That sword belongs to one of the statues in the garden.
Thank you very much.
Don't mention it, sir.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for? Honey, the remedy of the gods.
Well, Monsieur de Riche, what brings you here?
I tell you what I'm looking for, Monsieur Peru. Will you promise to keep it to yourself?
Hell no. And anybody who gives you a promise like that is an unmitigated liar. Trust no one, Monsieur de Riche, or you'll soon be a dead man. I bid you good luck. You'll need it.
Icarus. The son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. I am the innocent one, sacrificed for the sins of the father. If I remember rightly, Icarus was the son of Daedalus. He found himself confined to the labyrinth with his father after his father betrayed Minos. And his father's plan to escape from the labyrinth wasn't any more successful. Man, that kid was jinxed. Well, let's keep going. Asterion. It is rare to see him like this. In general, he's represented with the head of a bull, with the features of the Minotaur. The famous son of Minos and Pasiphae. This statue has a crack in it. Right. We'll soon see. Sorry, Asti. Yet again, your story does not end well. Great. Honey. A drachma.
I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. It looks like this slab moves. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a passageway underneath it. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. What is that? It's like a sort of opening mechanism. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things or my hand was pricked. It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot. Lord Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. She has no cracks. For once justice is done, she won't pay for the errors of the others. All right, let's continue anyways. Asterion. Theseus, son of Aegeus. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. Theseus. Let's try something else instead. Minos, son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. The crack is in the region of the heart. Minos. Asterion. This statue has a crack in it. Right. We'll soon see. Asterion. Minos. The crack is in the region of the heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. see if you're in there, Mother.
Amber crystals.
Bandages? Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. There are patches where the blood isn't totally clotted. That's a good sign, right? She changed them recently, which proves she's still looking after herself and still believes in her chances. Well, I'd love to tell her to keep hanging in there. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
Don't move!
Wait, I'm not armed.
Who are you?
Good God, Mother, what have you—
Tell me who you are!